art is fighting against time. So so you don't want time to be your enemy. And I've often said from teaching that most people can do a pretty good painting in about an hour and a half. Very few people can do a good painting in 4 hours. And if you make it a week, even harder. Because you start to forget what you're trying to say. And so the idea of doing a study like this is you give yourself a task which you can accomplish in a short enough time that you're willing to try something that might fail. If you're not willing to fail, it's almost not worth doing. And that's part of the idea of dividing up these tasks, is so that you end up with you end up being able to accomplish each task in the amount of time where it's still fun, where it doesn't become onerous. Because art is supposed to be playing. If it stops being playing, it just becomes drudgery, or punching a clock, or waiting to be finished. You can really make an argument that's not art anymore. So a lot of people are surprised when I say that. A lot of art teachers even don't understand that concept. They think that the longer you spend on a work of art, the better it will get. But that's almost never true. And of course, a great deal of what de Kooning and Pollock and Diebenkorn, a great deal of what they were trying to do was based on that principle that time is the enemy, and that you can't let it overpower you, or you become debilitated.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to take this red. Find the simplest way to make that red.
This is kind of, didn't you call this a study? This is a study, right?
Yes, it's called a study. It's a compositional study. What we would call this. Okay, so we're going to take. I'm going to add one of those fanciful shapes that I talked about as being unnecessary. I'm put it anyway. Okay, I'm breaking my own rule and going over time here, but just bear with me for a few minutes. Probably this will be something awful, but I mostly want to show you the process and what makes it plain, but also what makes it meaningful. What makes it meaningful is that you find what the relationships are between those colors, shapes, and then play with them until they're better. See, that's the trouble with most realism, is most people don't do that. They just fill in the painting. But then there's all this complicated information. They can't change it. And if you can't play with it, you're just a victim of your painting. That's not the point. That's not what art is supposed to be like. If you ever get a chance to watch a movie called Le Mystère de Picasso, it's a movie, real-time Picasso painting. It is absolutely mesmerizing. He will start out, he'll draw a circle and a triangle. And you just see all this stuff develop. And before you know it, it's a bullfighter being impaled on the horns of a... You watch, you can't imagine, how did he do it? I mean, and he's starting with completely abstract ideas. But it's, you know, it's an astonishing movie. Okay, I'm going to go back now and take the screen, which is an element of the other one. See, this is the thing. That's how long it takes to clean the palette knife. It's really great. Just like that.
Colors don't get muddy.
I usually do this with something that's lying flat.
So, Christian, I just want you to revisit some of the limitations of this painting. You're trying to do autumnal desaturated colors that are...
No, now if I was Stan Brodsky would say, you should never have any idea what you're going to do when you start. You should have no idea whatsoever. So that's terrible. If you can see the picture in your head, don't bother. You're wasting your time. And many, many abstract parents believe that. And for a good reason. There's a reason for that. But what I'm saying is I have an idea that I'm trying to communicate. And if I could see that picture perfectly and I could just realize it, then maybe he's right. Maybe there would be no point in that. But if I can learn something from attempting to do it, and it's a surprise, and there's something that I learned from it, then that seems worth doing. Okay? So, yeah, so I made this pattern. Okay, that's the design. That's the graphic design. And I had an idea about the colors. Really, just this one color, right? And then a general idea, well, fall colors, they're close together in value, and they're subtle, and they're less dominated by green, so maybe that's the other part of my idea. See, it's not very much of an idea, but it's still something to communicate. And it still is going to be, this could be a landscape, or I could use this to make a landscape, let's say. I could use whatever I learned from this to make a landscape. So I'm going to now take the same green, and I'm going to add yellow to it. And I'm going to assume that that will make enough of a difference in hue. Okay. But probably put in some cadmium yellow light at the last minute. I had it here. Yeah. Okay, so I've got this green. So I'm going to try not to add a lot of pigments to my palette here. I'm going to take these same ones. No, I want orange than that. So I'm going back to almost the same hue. And I'm going to put one plate in. And let's see how that looks. Now yellow and purple, also traditional colors that clash. So I'm going to go warmer a little bit. Maybe put some cad deep. Okay, so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to make a lighter color that's hotter that I can put next to that purple that will say something else. And there it is. Okay, so now I have this extra character here. We could say sunlight, right? We could say this represents sunlight on foliage, and maybe now the sky that I'm talking about is maybe it's a dark cloud behind it. Maybe there's a storm, or maybe there's a thundercloud or something, and maybe. See, when I'm looking at an actual landscape and painting from landscape, it's still a mystery to me. It's still new. If it's not new, I don't do the painting. I'm not interested.